Well, the backlash for Harry and Meghan on their tour is still going, but I found an interesting photograph and I wonder if a picture does tell 1,000 words. So let me know what you think as we delve into the Harry version of this Merchy tour. If you don't want to miss future uploads, then please consider subscribing to the channel. It is free and will not cost you a cent, penny, dollar, pound, whatever. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you know what to do by now, but those of you who are new here, well, go grab your drink as you sit back and relax as I get into some tea, some truth with a touch of therapeutic psychology. Right, so if you haven't seen my Meghan video, then head across to that and watch that now, or you can watch it after. The link is at the end of this video. So this one is particularly about Harry. So to get into Harry, I'm going to also just quickly talk about some of the things I have seen with regards to the royal family is a lot of people are stating the royal family are colluding in well, they concluded in the tour. And I'm going to talk about why I don't believe that is so, because if you are wanting back in, which we believe Harry and Meghan are wanting back in, firstly, it really isn't just down to King Charles. You've also got the fact that William and Catherine are coming up to, at some point, probably not that far away, of being king and queen. He would have to probably discuss with the heir apparent what his decisions are. If you look at it from the angle of, okay, that maybe say he's doing it behind the scenes, maybe he's not telling William and Catherine. Well, how would he do that? You know, because he's not meeting up with Harry. So this would have to be what, a phone call to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, go for it. Go to Australia, have a great time, because people are thinking it's called like what we call a soft launch. Testing Harry and Meghan going to Australia to see how things go, to test the waters, to see how things go. Right, so if you've got two people, say Harry and Meghan, that want to come back in or want to have the half in, half out, because that is exactly what this tour looks like on paper, you would have two people that would do everything to behave. Narcissists, if they have an agenda, they will do whatever it takes to get that agenda to succeed. And if it means we see how narcissists love bomb and everything else, so they would be on their best behavior. Now, it wouldn't be authentic, it wouldn't be real, but that's what they would do because it's a purpose, it's a means to an end. And the same for Harry. If he knew that this tour, everything on this tour could mean that him and Meghan could then have the half in, half out, which is money, which is fame, royal connections, keeping the titles, maybe having the HRH back installed, all of those things, there is absolutely no way that he would then spend the entire tour complaining about his father, saying that he doesn't judge his father, but then judges his father, then talks about how the royal family killed his mother, even though she was not even a working royal at the time, and she was killed by the fact that she was chased by paparazzi in a car where she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and the driver was over the limit. None of that matters, but this is what Harry puts out publicly. And why that's dangerous is because he knows that there is this conspiracy about the royal family taking out Princess Diana. He's not stupid. He would know that. So by mentioning it that way again, there is a very serious threat to fueling that out again. It's like, oh, what does Harry know? Does Harry know something? Thankfully, that doesn't seem to have happened, but that is what it could have done. You're not going to do that. You're not going to then go on and complain about how you were raised and how, like, say, you know, your father is this way and that way, and I want to be supersede my father. I want to be, you know, it's again this negative about his father. And then you've got Meghan. I was the most trolled person on the planet, and talking about herself and talking about how unfair her life's been, how no one's asked her if she's okay for the millionth time. But with Harry, especially, now Meghan, you could say, could go rogue. Meghan could go rogue, and I think that that has become a problem. Well, not I think, I know. But I definitely do think that Harry has lost his way. I do think that he wants to come back into the royal fold, even if it is half in, half out, or whatever it is. His actions are not the actions of somebody that has just been given the green light to do this tour as a test to see if it works. And also, it isn't as simple as that. Plus the fact you would see some endorsement in some way by the royal family. What would be the point of testing something when you are, in a sense, completely silent about everything? You're completely silent in what they're doing. No mention of them, nothing on the website, nothing anywhere. Even in the 100th celebration of the late Queen, they were not featured in any of the footage whatsoever. This is not the actions of an institution or a family that want Harry and Meghan back. This is not the actions of a son who thinks that this is the green light he's got to come back into the royal family. It's not. I don't know why people keep saying this. I think I actually know I do. I think I do understand why. People are saying it because there's gaps. And the problem you've got is that you've got silence from the royal family. In a sense, almost feels like it's allowing them to do this and behave this way. And then you've got Harry and Meghan that are doing what they're doing. And there's a gap. So people like to fill that gap. It's like they want to make sense of something. So when they can't make sense of something, they start to fill that in themselves of like, well, I need to add things in to make sense of it. And I think that's what people are doing. I believe people are. And I'm certainly not speaking for people, but I'm just trying to explain that this is how I believe it's happening. Harry going on and acting the way that he did. There were moments where he did not look happy at all. And this photo, I sort of spot, this was when they were in the airport, apparently, when they arrived. And it's interesting that they flew business class. And I think it really does show that they are running out of money, that nobody footed the bill for a private jet, and they are running out of money. It shows that perhaps they didn't want to foot the bill to sit in first class, which is a lot more money. They don't have that level of money anymore. And there's a picture, which I'm going to put up here, of Harry and Meghan, and it looks like there's some altercation going on.
Since recording the video, I actually have found a couple more. So it's interesting here how we see Meghan and Harry come off the steps and she looks to be ignoring him. And then I almost wonder if she's then very aware that the camera could be there, because suddenly she turns around to grab his hand like we've seen before. That seems in a bit of a weird contrast to her getting off, almost walking as if to ignore him, but then suddenly she's grabbing his hand. Now, it's not this photo, it's the one coming up in a minute, but it does seem that there's been an altercation. This hand is like he's pushing back. So he's either explaining and saying, I'm all good, or he's just enforcing something with this particular person. Now, I don't know whether that was before or after this particular incident, but then we go to this next picture and the body language is so like exposing. Firstly, we have Harry. His body language is sharp, reactive, and it looks heated. He's pointing a finger. This is the standard. Pointing is inherently directive and confrontational. It's not discussing, it's telling. He's leaning forward. He's entering into the other person's space, which usually signals a sense of urgency, frustration. This is not a calm conversation. Mouth open mid-speech, looks like he's speaking quickly or emphatically. Again, it's not relaxed. This looks like, to me, I'm correcting, challenging, or pushing back. This is an altercation. Now, the lady that he's doing this to, look, she's palms down. She's trying to pacify the situation. My guess is he is being probably not very nice to her, and she's trying to calm the situation down. She's trying to probably express what's gone on. But I think, again, this really does show, in my opinion, Harry's sense of entitlement. The way he's pointing a finger at her, I just think it's not a good look for him. And then we have Meghan. Now, I had to do a little bit of a double take here, because when I looked at this, I thought, this doesn't even look like her. I mean, it's very possible, of course, with the camera angle, etc. This is her. But it just looks really bizarre to me how this, I don't know, just something just feels off. But that could be going down the too conspiratorial route. But anyway, but even her body language, her head is tilted back, eyes partially closed. It's basically almost signaling like this could be almost like mild exasperation. It's emotionally distancing, not wanting to directly engage in that moment. But I almost feel as well it's got this slight air of almost, I don't know, like arrogance, almost like it feels like she's sort of almost like looking down her nose at this person. And interestingly, she's not trying to pacify Harry. She's not trying to stop, because in my opinion, if this was me and this was my partner, firstly, I wouldn't like him talking to a woman in the way that he appears to be talking to her, regardless whether she's in the right or wrong, whatever. Now, I would be trying to pacify the situation because I would not want this to escalate. And if she is aware of the camera, though, this could be very interesting because it's almost like this could paint Harry in a very bad light, which I feel that it does. Her body is angled away. She's not fully squared into the interaction, so she's not contributing physically to the exchange at all. It's almost as if she's saying, I'm not interested, I'm not stepping into this. And whether that's intentional restraint or disengagement, but that's the point, is she's not interested. Now, like I said, the security woman, she's not aggressive, and she is trying to, in my opinion, de-escalate the situation. Now, I wonder if the photograph that was before that with Harry and the guy is that obviously he's stepping in and maybe trying to calm the situation down, and Harry is basically either pushing his palm down to say, I'm in control of this, stay in your lane, or I'm good now, I'm calm. But either way, I feel this is a moment that exposes Harry, really, I feel, for who he truly is. Behind the closed doors, behind all the, I'm such a lovable guy, I've said to you before that I feel Harry is incredibly reactionary as a person, volatile, and I think this shows an element of that. There's so many things that show us that they are so desperate to be seen as royals. Why would they need a 4-car convoy? Gas-guzzling 4-car convoy, nonetheless. And to be escorted off the runway, well, airport, tarmac, by one of their vehicles with the lights flashing.
They're using Australia as a cash cow. They are grifters.
There have been many times when I felt overwhelmed. Times when I felt lost, betrayed, or completely powerless. Times when the pressure, externally and internally, felt constant. And times when, despite everything going on, I still had to show up, pretending everything was okay, so as not to let anyone down. Some of those experiences were unique, but the feelings that came with them were not. Grief, uncertainty, pressure, loss of identity, the need to keep going even when you're not sure how.
So a small group of people stood outside waiting for Harry, and literally look how many people are there, not many at all, and yet he couldn't even be bothered to go in the front. And I'm guessing because he probably heard there wasn't that many people there, so he goes in the back entrance. So he's disappointing. Now, the real royal family wouldn't have done this, and so these people are disappointed. So then they stay for an hour and a half, believing that he's probably been told that people are waiting outside. You know, they're looking in the window, that obviously the media are there, and he's just there kicking a ball around with these people. And then what does he do? No, he doesn't come out the front to greet these people and thank them for waiting. He skulks out the back and out the side, or out the side entrance. And again, it just shows the level of disdain that he truly has for people. He desperately wants to be seen as royal, but he doesn't want to do all of the hard work that comes from being a royal. And this guy's right. He's like, they are the kind of royals that you get, in a sense, when you can't have the real ones. And this is at the Edge Summit where he did his speech on mental health, which is just absolutely ironic to me. and there's not that many tables, and he didn't fill all of the seats. Whether or not this is true, but I definitely think it does need to happen. And I'm not going to go too much into Harry and his "I laid flowers at my grandmother's grave." I just think that was so incredibly insensitive given the hurt and pain that he's put her through. And it's like he's almost like still using that. I mean, there could be an element of guilt, but I'm sorry, it's just a little too late. And then we have this. You know, there is something very, very off about a man who walks away from royal duty but can't seem to walk away from acting like a royal when it benefits him. I want to just start also by noting that Harry has been away from the alleged kids yet again. So he's just come back from Australia. Apparently the kids were there, but we never saw them. And then a couple of days later, he chooses to, and I say chooses because it is chooses to go away again to Ukraine, you know, that place that's incredibly safe right now, but he doesn't feel safe in the UK. And you know what? It's like, sorry, didn't he state that how his own father was never around? I mean, look, as I've said before, you know how I feel about the kids, but if we're going to look at it from the way the media seem to portray that he is this doting father, when he seems to be always away from those kids, especially as you've just been away, you come back and then go away again by choice. And, you know, the difference was his father was a working royal, heir to a throne. Harry is now just really a private citizen, just with a royal title. Anyway, so here we have Harry publicly weighing in on global conflict, condemning world leaders, positioning himself as a moral authority again. I mean, I'm sorry, but at what point does this stop being about just speaking out and start being called out as outright hypocrisy? Because, you know, let's be clear, this isn't just a man sharing an opinion because, I mean, he's entitled to share an opinion. But what he's doing now is essentially this. He's keeping the influence of the royal family, the monarchy, the platform and the global recognition of being royal while disregarding the restraint, discipline and responsibility that comes with it. That's not independence, that's privilege without accountability, and it's reckless and irresponsible. But, and I'm going to say this, let's call it what it is. It's another convenient jab at the royal family because he loves to do that. He's tone deaf and opportunistic. It's like, to me, this is really him just kind of going, look, you know, I can do these speeches and everyone listens. You cannot spend years criticising the monarchy, distancing yourself from it, strategizing and monetizing your exit, only to then step straight back into being an adjacent royal when it gives you relevance for the world stage. And, you know, the other thing as well is that, you know, that's not being someone that's independent. It's dependency on the very system that he claims to have rejected. He knows the monarchy operates on political neutrality. That's not optional. That's the entire foundation which allows it to exist without interfering in electoral government or international relations. Harry absolutely 100% knows this. So when he speaks out like this, it doesn't sort of look like, oh, it's just Harry having a chat, you know, the privacy-seeking citizen. You know, to a lot of significant people, this will land as it's Prince Harry. He's a duke, a figure still globally tied to the British monarchy. You don't get to opt out of the job and then cosplay the role on the global stage when it suits your narrative. So which means Harry risks muddying diplomatic neutrality. He's blurring the institutional boundaries and he risks dragging the monarchy, whether they like it or not, into a territory they are constitutionally bound to avoid. This is exactly the half in, half out model, basically in disguise. It lands as someone still tied, whether officially or not, to the British monarchy. I honestly feel this is evident. I don't feel he really ever fully wanted to leave. I've said this before, and it's clear that these two very entitled individuals who didn't want the job, but they refused to give up the power and status that came with it. And it's now becoming less confusing and starting to look like a very deliberate attempt to undermine the British royal family, or at the very worst, sabotage them. And at some point, the royal family and the UK government have got to stop pretending, get their heads out their backsides, and thinking this is harmless, because it's not. And the rest of us, the world, are now starting to notice, and it's a problem.
There's something very, very odd with their relationship. I've said this for a while, but you've got, like I say, you've got the fact that Harry does not behave like somebody who has got the okay from his father to have a soft launch test, you know, to see how this goes. And if they are, then the outcome of this, given the fact that Meghan is now merched some of the clothes when they're visiting vulnerable people, this is that it's not gone down well at all. That Australia tour was not a success in any way, shape or form. And I think Harry knows that. And I do wonder if he gave her a rollicking basically after the fact, because her putting out those candles that she's put out, which I talk about in the other video, the Meghan video, but the fact that she mentions like ginger, I think that was a bit of a backstab for him. It's like, I think she trolls the royal family, she trolls Harry on her Instagram, so I think that was a bit of a dig at him. So just to say before I get going, for those of you who say, please do something else, please don't talk about Harry and Meghan anymore. Well, I did a video yesterday about the late Queen and gave you my little story of how when I met the late Queen and what happened. 6 minutes the video was, I believe, and not many of you watched it. So for those of you who complain and say, please do something else, this is why I don't, because this channel is what funds my free therapy program and I need the views. The views is what is the ad revenue, is what brings in the money to help me fund the program. If you don't watch my videos, I can't do my free therapy program in that way. So this is why I'm pigeonholed into Harry and Meghan, because believe you me, I would love to talk about somebody new. I would love to talk about true crime. I would love to do all of those things, but you guys just don't seem to want to watch them. You are, like many of us, just so invested. Even if it's like you love to hate them, and I'm the same, but you still want to watch them. So yeah, so just to let you know, that's why I don't really talk about other people as much, because I just don't get the views. I would love it if all of you who supported me when I do these videos put that same energy into other videos that I talk about, but you don't. And so, yeah, so until that changes, unfortunately, we are stuck with this for the time being. But anyway, I am going to be quiet next week because of the fact I am going in for surgery on Monday. So I will, if I feel okay, I might give you a couple of the new chapters of the other chapters of the Tom Bower book, as I've got those pre-recorded, but I'm really just going to play it by ear. But for the most part, I'm probably going to be taking most of the week off to have the operation and just spend some time recovering. Thank you for everyone who sent me well wishes, cards already. I really appreciate you, and yeah, the gifts and everything. So thank you so much. I wish I could thank each and every one of you, but I'm not able to do that because a lot of you don't leave me your email address. But I just know I appreciate you and thank you so much. So I'll see you when I'm next back. Till then, have a great weekend, whatever you're doing. And as always, you know that I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah.